performance developer allows users to invoke REST services from EGL CICS applications. This video will show how to consume REST services in an EGL application and how to deploy that solution to CICS. REST services run over HTTP and use standard HTTP operations like GET and POST to provide access to web resources. In EGL, these resources can be implemented as strings or EGL records. For this example, I will use the GeoName service, which allows users to retrieve geographical details of many cities around the world. For example, if I search for London, the GeoName service will retrieve the details of every city that corresponds to that search string. Like, it will return the country and the latitude and longitude. These details can be retrieved in EGL applications using the documented REST API that this GeoName service provides. In the online documentation, you can see the URI structure that you need to use to invoke the service. Like for example, this. In EGL, this first part is known as the base URI, which is the address of the service you want to invoke, and the second half becomes the URI template, which allows you to specify, and then this is concatenated to the base URI at runtime to create the final URI to invoke the service with. So to consume this REST service in CICS, you first need to create an EGL interface to describe the REST service. RBD provides a tool to help create this interface. If I bring up the new record wizard, I can show you how this is done. The templates can come from the JSON or XML schema. In this case, I will create it from a URL. So based on the data that I entered, this wizard will retrieve the data from the REST service, and it will use that to create the records that are needed to consume the service in EGL. So this is what the data that the REST service will send back, and you can process all of this in EGL using EGL records, because the RBD has a built-in conversion between the XML string and EGL records that you can use in your CICS application to process the data. To complete this interface, you now need to define the functions that correspond to the REST operations. So these are the records that were created just now, and also EGL provides some 4 REST annotations corresponding to the 4 basic HTTP operations that REST service provides. The GET REST, which is for retrieving web resources, and POST REST, which is for posting a new web resources online. The PUT REST annotation, which is for updating an existing web resource, and finally there's the delete REST annotation, which is for deleting a web resource. In this case, I'm just using the GET REST. And then there are multiple ways you can send and receive the resource data in EGL. If you don't specify the response formats, then the EGL program will receive the raw XML string as just a raw strings that you can process manually in EGL. Or alternatively, you specify a response format XML. The XML string that's returned from the REST service will be converted by the generated COBOL into an EGL record that you can consume directly in your program. The URI templates allows you to parameterize the REST service URI using the direct substitution of the parameter values at runtime into the URI templates. In the search query, and it's just my first parameter and the number of results returned from that particular service. That's also named parameter as well. So to consume this in your EGL application, you first define the service variable that's based on that. And here I'm using what's known as the bind service annotation, which means that this interface corresponds to a REST service that's described in the deployment descriptor. So if I open up my deployment descriptor interface, that I just service bindings, I can add the REST service, define the REST service in this deployment descriptor. So I select the binding type of REST. Then I search the REST interface that I created. And now give the base URI, which will resolve the service's address at runtime. The session cookie ID is for stateful invocations of REST services, but that's not supported for CICS. CICS only provides stateless REST service invocations. And so going back to the program, I've now declared the service variables. So to invoke this, just simply invoking a function on that, a named function in that interface. In this case, I'm getting the city I want to look up comes from a CICS form. So I send that to my search query and then I can just simply so when the query runs, it returns the XML string like this. It is automatically converted by the generated COBOL into the EGL record, which in this case I can access the fields directly, or I can move it to my form, so I can show the results. To deploy this to CICS, it's just simply a matter of generating the CICS REST client as so. There's no special setup that needs to be done on CICS. Everything is, all the REST invocation is contained within the CICS REST application, the generated COBOL for my CICS REST client. And to complete the deployment to CICS, we will need to generate the deployment descriptor to CICS using the same CICS build descriptor. This will generate a COBOL bind program that is invoked by my CICS application to resolve the the REST binding at runtime. So finally, to run the application is just simply a matter of, once you have defined your application in CICS, you can just simply execute as it is, and the generated Kerbal application will call the REST service using CICS APIs to invoke the REST service and return the details to your application. That concludes this presentation. Thank you for watching.